the practice about of our IAM and all that?
Yes.
So yesterday we talked about features of EC2, what it provides and what we will be selecting while creating an instance. So okay. So we need to go through these steps to deploy an instance.
Yeah.
So let's log in. AWS.amazon.com. Sign in to the console. Okay. So when we go to EC2 service, which is in our compute section, first of all, it will take us to the EC2 dashboard, where we can see all the resources which are available in Mumbai region. Okay. So EC2 services are mainly region-based service. So the resources in different regions are isolated from one another.
Okay.
Let's say right now I'm seeing that in Mumbai region, I have 3 key pairs and 6 security groups. If I change my
Okay.
region to North Virginia or Ohio, so in North Virginia, the number of resources which I have is key pair, only 1 key pair is there, and in security group there are 4 security.
Okay.
If we go to this one was in North Virginia. If we go to the Ohio region, so in Ohio region I have 2 key pairs and 3 security groups. So they are isolated from other regions. If you go to North California, I don't think I have used North California yet. So
Okay.
there should not be any resource in that particular. Yep, only one security group, which is by default available in all regions, is there. Other than that, nothing is there. Okay. So
Yes.
let's go back to Mumbai, and now I want to deploy an instance. So either I can directly launch my instance using this option, or I can go to the instance tab in the left hand side. Just click on instances. It will show you all the instances which are available in Mumbai region. So right now I don't have any instance. So if you want to deploy, click on launch instance. And the first step is to choose an AMI. So you have to select an Amazon machine image, or in short, you can say you have to select the operating system or your server application which you want to deploy here. Okay.
It's the same like CentOS.
Right.
When you
Just like
are doing that Linux servers.
so CentOS is there, and we have Ubuntu server is there, just like RHEL server is there. Okay. So Linux is an open source software. So what Amazon did, it picked the Linux kernel, and then created their own operating system. We can also use Amazon Linux here. We can use Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8. The latest version will be provided.
Yes.
If I want to use SUSE Linux, I can use that. Ubuntu server is also available there, 20.0. Microsoft Windows Server 2019 base. And all the operating systems which are available in free tier, a tag is shown here, free tier eligible. And which are not available in free tier, nothing will be shown under the names of those operating systems. So if you use those operating systems, then you have to pay the charges for that particular OS. So right now I'm not able to see CentOS here. Okay, there are multiple operating systems, but CentOS is not available here.
Only Red Hat.
Yep, only Red Hat is there, Amazon Linux there, and Quick Start tab. So if I want to see the CentOS operating system, if I want to use CentOS, I can just go and search it here. I'm just gonna type CentOS and then enter. So it is showing me that no results were found in Quick Start catalog, but in AWS Market Catalog and Community AMIs, I have many CentOS operating systems. So let's go to AWS Marketplace. CentOS 7 is there, which is available in free tier. CentOS 6 is there. CentOS 8 is also there.
Okay.
So you can use any of these. Or you can just go to the community AMI section and then search according to the filters which are provided there. You want Debian system, just click on Debian. All the Debian will be shown. If you want a Fedora, you can select that. Gentoo is there, OpenSUSE, other Linux, Red Hat, SUSE Linux, Ubuntu, Windows. Which architecture you want to use, which type of device, storage device should be attached there, either EBS or instance store, which is our physical storage at the back end of the hardware. Okay. So we can also filter the results from here. So for now, let's go to the quick start and deploy an Amazon Linux 2. So select that. And in next step, you have to choose an instance type. Okay, so instance types are mainly divided into these 5 parts. General purpose is there, compute optimized, is memory optimized, storage optimized, and accelerated computing. In memory optimized, high memory instances are also available there. Okay. So what is the highest RAM have you seen in a hardware, or have you worked on a hardware? What was the highest RAM you have used?
It's only the one that I built on CentOS. Yeah, but nothing, just for practice, nothing big.
No, how many GB of RAM was there, like in your laptop
like 12,
or in
12
your
GB.
office? 12. Okay.
Yes.
So if we want an instance of up to 700 and over 700 GB RAM, we can get that. Okay, just
That's
like
huge.
I launched an instance in yesterday session, and just like that, you just have to select the instance type of that particular memory, and you have to select that instance and just configure the details, and you can deploy it within a few clicks. So let's check the EC2 instance types. And this link is here. So first of all, general purpose. In general purpose, you get a balance of compute, memory, and networking resources. Where you can use it in web servers and code repositories. And then in general purpose, there are multiple types. T4 is there, T3 is there, M6 is there, M5. So M series and M, T, and A series, 3 series are there.
Okay.
Okay, so sometimes if you are going for the AWS certification, then sometimes they also ask you questions regarding these types, which type is available in which family and all that. Okay, so if let's say I selected M5, in M5 again we have multiple types, subtypes here. M5 dot large, which starts from 8 GB of memory and 2 virtual CPU cores. If I want less than that, I can go to T2 or T3. So let's select T2, where it starts from only 0.5 GB of RAM, 512 MB of RAM you will be assigned with 1 CPU core. If you want some more, then you have T2 dot micro, then T2 dot small, medium, large, X large, and 2X large. So this one, T2 dot micro, only this type is available for our free tier account. If you use any other type, you have to pay for that. Okay. And at the bottom of these types, if you just go to the bottom here, you can see the use cases where it is being used right now. So it can be used as in website and web applications, in development environments, for build servers, for code repositories, microservices, testing and staging environment, and line of business applications. If I select something from A1 class, so A1 starts from 2 GB RAM and goes up to 32 GB RAM. And if we go at the bottom, so use cases we can again see, such as web servers, containerized microservices, caching plates, distributed data store, and development. So only in general purpose family we can get so much RAM and so much of virtual CPU cores. Okay, so 256 GB of RAM is provided in this M4.16X large. And if we see something from M5 class, in this case the memory, maximum memory, is 384. Then next comes our compute optimized instances, where you need high performance, then you'll need compute optimized. Okay, where you can use it in HPC, high performance computing, scientific modeling, dedicated gaming servers, or ad server engines, in machine learning interference. So C series comes under our compute optimized. And if we see here, the number of virtual CPU cores would be more in comparison to the memory. Let's say I'm getting 64 virtual CPU core and only 128 GB memory. In the previous section, which was our general purpose, there we were getting a balance of all those. Like we can get 64 virtual CPU cores with 300 over RAM or 256 RAM. Okay. And at the bottom, you can check the use cases. So it's the same: batch processing, ad serving, gaming, scientific modeling, and all that. And if you see here, there is a difference in storage, instance storage. Some have EBS only. In that case, you can only use the elastic block storage, which is our SAN storage, a type of SAN storage. Or if we scroll down, then we have something like this. So they are providing us SSD of 59 GB. If one is written there, so that means a single SSD of 59 GB. If we go at the bottom here, two SSDs of 1425. So 1400, how much? 2850. 1850 GB storage is provided there. But These storage are called ephemeral storage. These are attached at the hardware side and they are physically attached to that particular server. So if you remove that server, if even you stop that server, the content in these storage will be removed. They just act like a extra RAM, you can say. Okay, the RAM does what RAM does, it just stores the data in that particular memory till our system is up. Okay. So ephemeral storage just acts like that to increase the performance of our system. Then next comes our memory optimized, where we need fast performance. So R series is here, X series is here. So if we see in R, this time I am getting 512 GB RAM with 64 CPU cores. So this time the main focus is on about our memory, or you can say RAM, where you
Is
can
this
use it.
V for virtual?
Yeah, V for virtual.
Okay.
So you can use it in open source databases, in memory caches, and big data analytics. If you check other classes here like R5, the RAM goes up to 768 GB with 96 CPU cores. If you select something from X series, in X series, the RAM would be more. Here we are getting 1024 GB of RAM. Where we can use it, we can use it in open source databases, MySQL, MariaDB, PostgreSQL, and Redis key database, mainly in memory caches. Okay. If I want more memory, I can go with either X1, where they are providing me with up to 4 TB of RAM.
Terabyte.
Okay. And in case of high memory, there will be a number which is unrealistic. It starts from 6,000 and goes up to 24,000 GB of RAM. So we can only imagine how much fast
That's
would
huge.
it would. Okay. But if you see here, these instances all have metal written under it.
Okay.
Okay. So these resources will be a bit pricey in comparison to these resources because they are dedicated for your use only. Nobody else will use from those particular resources which have metal. Okay. And where we can use it, so we have SAP HANA database, in memory database in cloud, we can use it there. Next comes our accelerated computing, in which P series is there, G series is there, and F is also there. So in accelerated computing, GPU is also provided to us. Graphic will be provided to us. E2. So GPU memory will be there, normal memory will be there. Okay. You can use it for machine learning, high performance databases, computational fluid dynamics, or I think speech recognition should be here too. Yeah. Speech recognition, autonomous vehicles, drug discovery. Okay. So very high performance. If you want for your server, then you can go with accelerated computing. And in case of storage optimized, here you can get input output per second to be very high. So if you want more throughput, more IOPS, then you can go with storage optimized. Here you have D class, I class, and H class. And all of the storage here is ephemeral storage, or you can say instance storage, either HDD or SSDs should be here, not this one. Nope. Yeah. So here we are getting 8 drives, and each drive is of
7,500.
7.5 TB of data in a single drive, and we are getting 8 drives of that. So in how it will be? In 2 drives, it would be 15 TB and 15, 15, 15, 15. So 60 TB of storage we are getting in this with 768 GB, 768 of memory and 96 virtual CPU cores. Okay. So then again, databases we can use it, or databases and data warehousing where we want to store multiple types of data. Okay, unorganized data. So these are the classes which are provided to us in EC2. So for now, you can only you will only use free tier, and if you want to use any another, then you have to pay for that particular. You can just scroll through and select whichever you want. Okay, then. So T2.micro I've selected, and next. And in this step, I can configure the details related to my particular instance. There, first of all, I can tell how many systems, how many instances I want to deploy, whether I want to deploy a single instance or I want to deploy multiple instances. Then,
in what cases will you deploy more than one?
Let's say you want to create a setup where you want to attach a load balancer behind that particular instance. So all the traffic will come to load balancer, and then the load will be balanced on the multiple servers which you have deployed.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, number of instances would be there. Then next comes our purchasing option. So before discussing that, let's talk about our network. So what AWS did here, they created their own network. Okay, and whenever we talk about networking, we will always talk about IP addressing with it. Want to access any server, any system, would you be able to access it via using that server's private IP?
Sorry?
Let's say if there is a server in the on the internet, and you want to access that server, you want to access the content on that server. So would you be able to access that server by using the private IP of that server?
No, everything that is on the internet, you need a public IP to access.
Correct. Okay, so if you want to go to the internet, you must have a public IP, otherwise you will not be able to go to that. So here I can select whether I want to assign a public IP on the instance or not. Okay, and for the private IP part, so at starting, AWS created a network in which he will assign an IP by default on its own, and that IP will be of range 172 and 31, I think. Dash 20. Okay. So for now, we are using the default network, default private IP. Later, we'll see if I want to assign the private IP of my choice on the particular instance. I can also do that.
Okay.
Okay.
Like a stable IP.
Yeah, that would be stable, and you can directly communicate between multiple instances privately. You don't have to use the public IP every time you want to communicate with other EC2 instance.
Okay.
So what they did here, they created a network on the region. Okay. And in that particular region, we always have multiple availability zones. So they just did the subnetting of that particular network and created multiple subnets here. And the number of subnets always relate to the number of availability zones which are available. Okay, so in Mumbai region, we have 3 subnets. Okay. And if we see here in the region selection, you can see that all the regions have a code ahead of it. Okay, so code for Mumbai is AP South 1. If we talk about Singapore, then it is AP Southeast 1. For Ohio, it is US East 2. So let's say this one is my region. So they assigned the code on this region, the AP-South-1. And in this region, we have multiple availability zones. Yep. And they created multiple subnets and just gave the name to those subnet AP South 1A or availability zone 1, AP South 1B for availability zone 2, and 1C for availability zone 3. So if you want to deploy your instance in availability zone 2, then you can select AP South 1B. If you want to deploy instance in 1A, availability zone 1, then you can select South 1A. Okay, so let me show you. Right now, the network is default. We are not changing anything. But in subnet, we can select in which availability zone I want to be deployed. If I leave it as no preference, AWS will choose the availability zone on its own. Okay, but if I want to specify, yeah.
If you leave it default, they will choose which one?
They'll choose anyone.
Anyone.
1A, 1B. Yep, any one of them. If you want to specify that you want to deploy the instance in 1A, then you have to select that. Or in 1B, you can select it. But for now, in Mumbai region, South 1C don't have the support for T2.micro instance. So you would not be able to deploy instance in Mumbai region in South 1C.
Okay.
So for now, let's leave it as no preference here. Next option is whether you want to assign a public IP on it or not. By default, it is enabled. If you want to disable that, you can disable it. Okay. So private IP is always assigned on the system, but for public IP, it's up to you whether you want to assign it or not.
And it depends the use case of the instance.
Yep. Let's say for database instance, I don't want private connection, public connection on that database instance. So for database instance, I would not attach any public IP. Okay. So, yep. Next, let's talk about our purchasing options. So there are 4 purchasing options here: on-demand instances, reserved instances, dedicated host, and spot instance. So let's talk about them one by one. Should we continue?
Yeah, it's fine. You can continue.
So next is our purchasing options, which is in first of all is our on-demand instance. Here you pay according to the use. Pay as you use model. You pay via this model. So there are some benefits of using this. There are some, we can say, drawbacks of using this class. So let's talk about those. First, benefits. So here you can create the instance anytime you want. That's why the name on demand. You don't have to wait for a AWS to provide the resource for some time and all that. You just go there and deploy it within a matter of minutes.
Okay.
So you can create resource, so or mainly we can say VM at any time. Here you don't have to do any commitments. Means you don't have to purchase that instance for a specific period of time. Whether you want to use it for 5 minutes or whether you want to use it for 5 days, it's totally up to you.
No contracts.
Yep, no commitments. Only you have to pay according to the usage for how much hours you have used it. No upfront cost is there. Upfront cost. That means the billing would be in your bill at the end of the month. Okay, the amount would be charged in your bill at the end of that month. You have to pay at the end. And here billing is done on hourly basis. It's done on hourly basis.
Oh, hourly.
Yep. So it can be a benefit, and same billing time will also come in our drawbacks too. We'll discuss about that. And before that, last benefit is that after purchasing, only you have the right to release the machine. Okay. AWS don't have the right on that machine that they can take it back. If they take it back, then you can sue AWS according to the rules and regulations and all that, because they have already provided you the service and only you can release that particular instance if you want. Purchasing, only you can release the machine. And next we have drawbacks. The first one is that the prices are fixed here. If you want to check the pricing, you can go to the AWS service and under the instance type tab in left hand side, you will be able to see the list of all instance types here. And if you scroll it at the right side, there it is. On demand, Linux pricing is there. And on demand Windows pricing is also there. Okay, so at the start, when we are only using a little bit resources, okay, then the pricing is not very different. Here we have $0.1 per hour. Here we have $0.192. But if we go to the bottom of this list, here if you check it, pricing for Linux instance is around 4.7 and pricing for Windows is around 9.1. It's totally, we can say, doubled the prices for Windows. Okay. So you can check the pricing from here, or you have AWS calculator and we can use that. before they provided an simple monthly calculator, which was very easy to use and all that, but they removed the link for that. I don't know why. And now created a service for the same, where you can select you can create estimate for any service which you want. You just have to select the service. Here we have to configure, and in the configuration tab, we can tell in which region I want to deploy it. Okay, so Asia Pacific, Mumbai. Leave it as Ohio right now.
Are the
We just
prices the same in all regions?
no. In some regions it may differ. Most of the regions they are same, but in some regions it will be different.
Okay.
Then you can select the operating system, which operating system you want to deploy. Then which instance type. In the memory section, you can tell how many virtual CPU cores you want, how many memory you need. So, yep, let's say I want virtual CPU cores to be 1 and memory to be 1. So T4G.micro it has selected. How many instances I want to deploy, quantity of instances. I can tell that, let's say 3 instances I want to deploy. And utilization would be 100% per month. I want them to be running always. And for now, select on-demand instances in pricing strategy and show calculations. So it will tell you the pricing according to the instances type we have selected above. So utilization would be 100%. In a month, it will be run 730 hours, and 730 hours in a month, 3 instances, and the pricing for a single is this 0084 USD. So the monthly cost would be around $18. If you want to add some storage and all that, you can also select that amount of storage, how much storage in MB, TB, GB, and you can also show calculations. So overall, if you want to deploy 3 instances with 30 GB each, it would cost you $27 a month. Okay. So you can use the pricing calculator, which we have in AWS, to calculate the pricing of your instances and all that services. Then, yeah, so the prices are fixed here. After that, another drawback is our billing time. Okay, and it is one, we can say, a little bit expensive to use if I want to use it for a long period of time. So if we see here, billing time is in the drawbacks too, and billing time is in the benefits too. Why is that? Because let's create a scenario here. I have an instance which cost me 10 rupees, 10 INR for 1 hour. Okay. Or we can, yeah, let's use dollars. So let's say $10 for an hour, just a price, for example. Okay. Then you created that particular instance and you ran it for 10 minutes. At first, you created the instance and ran it for 10 minutes. After that, you stopped that instance. Then again, you start it and now you use it for 20 minutes. You stopped it again, and after some time again started it and used it for 2 hours. Finally, you deleted that instance. So what would be the total cost according to you? which I have to pay to the AWS.
You pay for $40.
How much?
$40.
Right.
I'm sure
Correct.
they'll count the 10 minutes as an hour. Every time you start and stop it, they count it.
Right. So it will count it as an full hour. So 1 hour here,
Yes.
another, and add 2 to that. 2 plus 2, 4.
Mm.
So yeah, you are the second student of mine which we have answered it correctly. Otherwise, all
Okay,
of them
that's
answer
nice.
it like this. You will be costed. You will have to pay $25 for an.
Mm.
Okay, not hours. It is dollar. So mainly because of hourly basis pricing, you have to pay a little bit more. Even if you are using that instance for 5 minutes, you will have to pay for an hour. Or even if you are using it for 59 minutes, then you also have to pay for an hour.
But
So in this
can I
case,
ask, why would you create an instance to use it for only for 10 minutes?
just for, let's say, you want to do some testing, you have an application ready, okay,
Okay.
but you want to just test that whether that application is coming live or not.
Oh, before you
In that
deploy
case,
it.
right before you deploy it,
Mm.
okay. So in that case, you can create it for short period of time.
Yes, makes sense.
So this was our first purchasing option, which was on-demand instances. Then next is our reserved instance. Okay. So in reserved instance, it would be, we can say, less pricey than the on-demand instance, and you can save up to 70% on compared to on-demand if you use an on reserved instance. So let's go to the reserved section next. Access. Okay. So here you have to purchase that instance for a period of time. You have to commit for a period of either 1 year or 3 year term.
Okay.
First of all, let's write the benefits. And yeah, so it is less pricey, or we can say low cost, and save up to 70% compared to demand instance. So if an on-demand instance was costing you, if you ran that particular instance for an year, and it would cost you, let's say, $1,000 a month, then if you are using an reserved instance in that place, it would cost you around 500, 300 to 500 only. And on the minute basis, billing is done on per minute basis. And then again, same, after purchasing, only you have the right to release that instance.
Okay.
Only you can release the instance. And if we talk about drawbacks of this type of instances, drawback is that you have to commit for at least a 1 year or 3-year term. You have to commit for a period of 1 year or
Minimum.
3. Yep, minimum 1 year and maximum 3 years. Then if you want to increase the duration, you can increase it, but at least you have to pay for, you have to commit for at least a year. Okay. And in some cases, you have to pay the upfront costing. Not always, but in most of the cases, if you want to fully utilize the service of reserved instances, then you have to pay. Okay.
Upfront cost.
So here you will get multiple paying options in reserved instance. You will have an option like no upfront. First would be no upfront costing. In that case, the savings will be there, but it will be, we can say, the least savings you can do in the no upfront cost. If you pay partial upfront, you can save some more. And in case of full upfront, save the maximum. So in no upfront, you have to pay the pricing at the end of every month. In partial upfront, half you pay at the start, and the remaining you pay every month at the end of every month. And in case of full upfront costing, you pay for the year or 3-year term at the start. So the same scenario again, which was here. The and paste. So this time, how much costing would, how much cost would we have to pay?
You have to pay the whole $10 upfront.
No, let's just say, like, if we are using this type in full upfront costing too, they are charging me $10, for example. Then how much I have to pay?
$10.
No. Here you have to pay according to the number of minutes for which you are using the instance. Okay. The upfront costing would be there, but the usage will be there, like you are transferring some data and all that. Okay, so you have to pay for the data transfer rate and all, everything else. Okay, so it will be for around 2 hours here, so that means 60 plus 60, 120 minutes, and 20 minutes from here, 10 from here. So you have to pay the costing for 150.
Okay.
If we want to compare the costing, we can directly open reserved and pricing and open first link, and here first of all you have to select the type of instance, whether you want to select standard reserved instances or convertible reserved instances. If you are using a standard reserved instance and after some time, after let's say 6 months, you want to increase the capacity of that instance, you would not be able to increase it. Okay. But in case of convertible instance, if you are converting it to something of equal resources or higher, then you can convert it.
Okay.
So first you have to select the term length, for which term you are using, either 1 year or 3 year. Then the payment option, no upfront, partial upfront, and all upfront. Then which region you want to deploy the instance, which operating system you want to use, and another one is tenancy. So for now, we are talking about shared tenancy, and another one is dedicated instance. What is the difference between those? We'll discuss that. But for now, if we see the first type, which is A1.medium, the costing under reserved instance pricing would be $11.75. And on-demand rate of this instance is 0 to 55. So if we calculate the pricing, on-demand pricing, so for an hour, it is 0 to 55. So for 24 hours, it would be 0.0612, and for a month, it would be $18.
Yes.
But under reserved instance, you only have to pay $11, 11.75. Okay. So you are saving up to 37% here. In case of no upfront, if I change it to partial upfront, now I am saving up to 40% here.
40%.
Before it was 37, now 40. If I change it to all upfront, in that case, it would be 41%.
1%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we see here, for all upfront costing, I have to pay around $131 for a month, for a year. Okay. So according to this, if I use this instance for 3 years, how much I have to pay? So 131 into 3, correct? If I use it according 1 year term for up to 3 years. But if I directly change it to 3-year terms under all upfront costing, so I only have to pay 250. So just like any another, we can say, business, they are also using the same criteria. If you purchase their services, if you use their services for a long period of time, that will be beneficial for you. So yeah, okay. Now let's talk about our tenancy option. So in tenancy, we have two options. First one is shared and another one is dedicated instance. So do you know about hypervisor and virtualization? Hypervisor and virtualization and hypervisor.
No.
Only virtualization.
Yeah, I know about virtualization.
Okay, what we do in that? In virtualization.
Virtualization is like giving access to a certain resource from different regions.
Yeah, we can see that, or to be specific, we can say that by using virtualization technology, we can fully utilize the resources. Okay, let's say you have a server, you have a hardware right now in which you have what 64 GB of RAM and 10 TB of hard disk. This is your hardware configuration. And when you are using this hardware by installing particular operating system on it, let's say I installed Windows here, Windows 10, then I'm running some applications and software in this particular. So how much RAM would be consumed? Let's say Windows is using 6 GB maximum. By default, it will work on 3 or 4 GB too, but we are taking double. So 6 GB RAM is used by Windows. This application is using, let's say, maximum of 10 GB RAM. And any particular software is also using 5 GB RAM. The total size which are being used would be under 30. How much is it? 10, 15, 6, 21 GB RAM. So the remaining are being wasted here. Okay.
Yes.
So up to 30, not 30. How much is being wasted here? If we remove 20, that means 44 and 43 GB of RAM is being wasted right now. So to fully utilize the hardware, to fully utilize the resources, what I can do, I can use virtualization here and create multiple virtual hardwares. And then on those virtual hardwares, I can install different operating system even if I want to. Let's say in one when I installed Windows 10, in another one I installed Windows 8, and next one I installed Linux. So now I can use 3 different operating system at the same time, and I don't have to purchase an extra hardware for that.
Okay.
So all the resources which we are getting from AWS, all the EC2 servers and instances we are getting, they are all virtual machines. They are all created by virtualization.
Okay.
Okay. And the software which is used to create these multiple hardwares is called hypervisor. Okay. So hardware is there on my hardware. Hypervisor is there, and by using that hypervisor, we can create multiple virtual machines here. So for now, let me get 2 hardwares here. So I have 2 hardwares, both of same configuration, and hypervisor is also installed on those. Now there are 2 people. Let's say SRK is here and Joseph is here. They want a server of 32 GB RAM each, or they want multiple servers of 4 GB RAM. Okay. So SRK went to AWS and he asked for a server, that he want a server for server of 4 GB RAM. So they created a hardware with 4 GB RAM and certain storage, whichever I wanted, let's say 20 GB. Assigned a public IP to it and provided me the access of that resource. I wanted another server. They created the same, no, sorry, they created another hardware, another virtual hardware on same resource. Assigned some RAM to that, some storage, provided me the access. Same way, you also went there, you wanted a server of 8 GB configuration. So 8 GB RAM is there and 100 GB storage is there. You wanted another one. So 32 GB RAM and 500 GB storage. And they provided you the access via remote. So now we both are getting the resources from the same hardware. This is called our shared tenancy.
Okay.
Then second one, which was dedicated instance. INS. What happens in dedicated instance? Hardware is there too. Hypervisor is also there. But in that case, if I want a server, they will create a single virtual machine on that hardware. Okay. And they will provide you the access of that hardware, that virtual machine.
Okay.
So in dedicated instance tenancy, no one other than you is using that hardware right now. But in shared
Yes.
tenancy, it may be possible that only you are using it. It may be possible multiple people are using that hardware. Okay.
But
So this is the
in the case of shared tenancy, even if more than one person is using the resources,
right.
Like my work is completely keeping away from the other party, right? You cannot
Yeah.
access another person's work.
No. You would not be able to access it. All the machines are isolated.
Okay.
So, but yeah, the pricing will be different for shared tenancy and dedicated instance tenancy. In dedicated instance tenancy, you have to pay a little bit more than the shared one.
Yes.
Okay, so these are our two types of purchasing option. Now two remains: dedicated host and spot instance. So let's cover those in our next session.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. AWS. So AWS. So purchasing options.